to everything you need to know about enhancing and naturally supporting your vein health today. I am going to share with you in this 60-minute live, basically this is like a mini masterclass. We are going to dig into the supplements, the herbs, the natural therapies, and even some really critical tests that can support your vein health. This is for all individuals, men and women of all ages, and I'm really excited to share with you this to you all, and you are very interested in learning how to support blood flow and enhance your vascular circulation to all areas of your body, your brain, your hands, your fingers, and your legs and your feet. Community members joining us on the live, one of the things that I really love, hey Audrey and Paul, I love connecting with you all live. So this is not scripted. I do have a presentation I'm going to share with you, but I'm live. So I'm so excited. Some of these vein problems are going to be a little bit more unique. Some are not as severe as others, and I will highlight certain recommendations, if you will, in this live that might pertain to your specific situation. But again, this is a live show, so your questions, I'm going to be answering them as we go. I will post them on the screen, just like we have Pura Luz. Welcome to all of you. So make sure you hit the comment box below and hit that share button. Is lymphedema, which is a secondary condition that is an irreversible condition that can be triggered. 80% of lymphedemas are triggered by vein problems, and that's I have that predisposition, and it's something I'm mindful of. Might be working out too much is going to be something we want to be aware of in terms of that vascular support. that stress is more of a strain than crossing our legs. And so it's actually where the torso is in that 90-degree angle or some variation of that, hips and butt down, like I'm seated, and many of you might be seated watching. Vascular impairment, poor blood flow, poor circulation, cold feet, heaviness, swelling in an extremity is a sign of a deeper imbalance and a deeper problem we need to address. From my perspective, is more natural. And there are beginning progression. That's not true. And I will be addressing this, so make sure you stay with me here in our 60-minute time frame. I'm going to address what type of exercises are going to be the most impactful, and there's actually a time frame and then a kind of loading burden on the vascular system. So I do want to highlight that there are some aspects to fitness that are critical, and that, you know, not necessarily all exercise is going to be impactful. So I've got Millie. Hey Millie, I love your show. So thanks for joining us. And Norma, she says hand pink waving. Hi Norma, it's great to have you join us. And Caramel Rose says hello. This is great information. It's hereditary, so I'm mindful. Absolutely. And a lot of times there will be triggers as well. For women, pregnancy and hormonal imbalances are core triggers. Hey Patty, yay. Okay, so the volume's low. Let me see if I can fix that. It should be high. Let me fix it. Okay, we'll see if that gets better. I can move it up. Let me know if that fixes it. I'll talk louder. Okay, so I'm so excited to dig further into this presentation. I will be that tends to be where a lot of people find my videos here on YouTube. The symptoms I will tell you frankly, I'm having a problem with my one vein in my right calf, and it feels heavier, and the calf actually is slightly enlarged. I'm making sure the video is good, or audio. So I might just hold this right here if that's good. Audio cuts off. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. But I am noticing that I am getting glitches on this. So we'll see how we do. So let's. All right, that should be better. Let me know if that audio is better. I apologize. Okay, I think I fixed it for you. Okay, so This is what your veins look like inside. And that is something that is really problematic. We have to be mindful of. We don't always see these valves and how they are being affected. And so that's something that, what we have to be aware of is just supporting the internal structure, the internal pieces of your veins. We need them to be supple and healthy. And there are different stages of varicose veins. And so they tend to start, we might have asterisks, as we call it, kind of looks like this kind of spattering of veins. So we have reticular veins, we have varicose veins, then we have venous insufficiency, and then trophic ulcers. I actually work with a lot of folks that are on the venous insufficiency, we call it CVI, and trophic ulcers, where their skin is having problems, it's erupting, it's problematic. So this is something just to be mindful of, that these are going to be progressive if you do not address your vein health. And so every day and every way, I'm going to share with you some tactics and resources you can deploy, as well as additional tools to prevent the DVT from occurring. Deep vein thrombosis, we have a greater risk of having this kind of sluggish blood flow and clot development. And that can be a challenge with a lot of folks. I actually have one of my famous athletes that I've worked with. I worked with a lot of athletes, primarily when I was in Florida, because it was such a central hub for a lot of athletes. We had home shopping network within a mile of my clinic. And one of my athletes that I worked with after her deep vein thrombosis and surgery from pulmonary embolism was Serena Williams. And if you guys notice some of my videos where I shoot, there's a segment over here where I shoot, I have a picture of her. So that is something that, it happens to anybody, even the healthiest, most successful individuals that you would not think they have vein problems. So deep vein thrombosis is where we have vein blood clots. There's an assortment of challenges here where they can break off and be disruptive and get into our lungs. Some can be fatal. But the goal in the therapies and the resources today is going to be to equip you with resources so that you don't ever get to that phase. And it looks like Linda said, you can hear me now. Okay, good. I apologize for that, you guys. Kiger, like that's good. Patty, sound better. Okay, excellent. Yay, mic check's been successful. So one of the things that I talked about in a series, I did during February, a whole heart disease health month. And I talk actually a lot about PAD, and it's a peripheral artery disease. This is going to be a progression of arterial disease that is mostly going to be present in your legs. And that's where we see a lot of problems. Those are the type of patients that I often get in my clinic and in my practice seeking resources. But what happens is through progression of disease and the plaque buildup and the clotting and the thickening of the blood and the veins not being as supple, actually the matter inside the vein becomes bony. So we actually have a poor articulation of calcium, poor absorption of calcium. That ends up getting deposited in the veins. That is a big PAD problem. PAD also, we'll see this with some of our patients with diabetes, but PAD is something you want to be aware of. And in fact, one of my last slides in our my short presentation here, one of my last slides highlights the tests that you can perform to rule out PAD, because you don't want to sit tight. You don't want to let swelling, leg veins, obvious signs, maybe redness of the skin go, you don't want it to go undiagnosed. And so you can still treat and naturally support your vein health, but you want to get diagnostics. And so we'll talk about that as well. But let's talk about 3 herbals I love. I really, really love butcher's broom, horse chestnut, and grapeseed extract. These are the top 3. There's lots of clinical research, lots of support that these 3 herbals are the best for vein health. And particularly, they are going to be most supportive when the valves are dysfunctional, they're not flowing well, you don't have the downward, upward flow really dialed in. Unfortunately, like if you've ever been to a zoo, they talk about like the giraffe's necks are compression oriented so that the giraffe can stay stable because of the length of its neck. It's got to get blood flow up to its head. Our Similar, but reverse happens in the human legs. The legs have got to circulate blood flow up the leg, anti-gravity. And over time, and if we have faulty valves or we have genetic predisposition or we have a health concern and degenerative cardiovascular health, then we will see PAD and blood flow problems really accelerate. So these herbals, butcher's broom, horse chestnut, grapeseed extract, are all aimed at supporting the nutritional needs as well as addressing the assorted swelling and impairment and inflammation in the actual walls of your veins. I have all of these listed already in the description in this video. So if you want to start shopping as we're talking, or any of you watching on the replay, it'll all be in the click down menu. If you're on a laptop or a device, you can check that out. So I do have all of these accessible, and there are links to really high quality products. But just know, like horse chestnut and butcher's broom often are going to be in a capsule form. Grapeseed extract's a little bit more open. You can get it liquid form, or it's encapsulated in other kind of anti-inflammatory combos. But these are very powerful for supporting vein health. But if you're looking for a total vein health kind of lifestyle, these are the 3 core facets. Exercise that is full body and low impact at a minimum, or actually a maximum of 30 minutes a day. So swimming is our favorite and best cardiovascular full body and low pressure. There's actually a lot to do with this. So that's like, I could save that for a whole nother video. But just know, when we're in the water, we have less pressure and strain on our joints, but you actually get better compression therapy for your legs and support for your veins. So if you have the capacity to get in a pool, that's my favorite exercise. With summer kind of around the corner, we've got Memorial Day a few weeks away from the live date here. Getting in the water, swimming is really great. Getting, to your rec center. And then also there are specific vein and vascular supportive supplements. I've highlighted I will highlight all of these in full. In total, there's more to come. But also your food intake. And I'm always food first, as many of you who regularly watch me know. I like to talk about how can we eat to support our body and eat to support our health. And an anti-inflammatory diet is the best diet for supporting healthy leg veins and vascular function in your whole entire body, from your brain to the microvascular channels in our organs, our glands. And it's really, really important that you choose high nutrient dense anti-inflammatory foods. I will even kind of get specialized for certain people eating right for your blood type, because your blood, there's a bunch of chemistry related to your blood and your veins and food. And so that integration is really, really important to support that lowered inflammatory effect, because inflammation in the body is damaging your blood vessels. So inflammation, there are things called free radicals. These are these single cells, and they get, dislodged because of everyday enzymatic function and just the function of living in your body and seeing and breathing and all these things. And one of the things that occurs is that we will see high levels of inflammatory markers and inflammation and oxidative stress. Single cell free radicals damage the vascular channel. That causes deep epithelial, vascular, soft muscle damage to the walls of our vessels. So food is really, really important. You can exercise, you can take supplements, but if you're not eating the clean, low inflammatory diet, we're going to be missing out on some of those really powerful tools to help support your veins. Now, let's talk about some vein therapeutics here. Actually, I spelled this wrong, but contrast therapy is a long therapeutic that naturopaths, we recommend all the time. And contrast therapy is simply contrasting hot water and cold water, hot showers to a cold shower, a steam to a cold plunge. So if you're familiar with watching, I know it's Insta fabulous right now. Everybody's got all these things where they're, they've got these like freezing cold baths that are outside, and they're, cracking the ice, and they get in and it's like 30 degrees. It's insane. But there's a lot of effect in the vascular vasodilation and the contraction, vasocontraction. So dilation contraction actually functions as almost like a vein exercise. So that type of therapy is powerful. We can do that every day. Take a shower. At the end of your shower, do a minute to 3 or 5 minutes of cold water. That's enough to really, really be helpful in terms of supporting your vascular system. It's shocking. I do it all the time, and I swear, even in the morning, like it wakes me up. It's like a jolt of energy. You get more oxygenation because you're kind of like, oh, it's cold, and you also get your venous, your vagal nerve engaged. So there's a lot of power here. But cold, hot and cold water therapy is what I recommend. Body movement. So we talked a little bit about exercise, but blood flow movement, 30 minutes a day is the goal. Anything more, we start to cause high levels of cortisol, which is inflammatory. So, low impact, walking, cycling is really great, swimming, gentle jogging, a lot of the different cardio effects, but keeping it 30 minutes or less. Dry skin body brushing is something that enhances lymphatic flow. I have a dry skin body brush listed in the description box below, and it's, I think, 33% off today. It's like less than $5.50 or something crazy amazing. But dry skin body brushing, I talk a lot about this in videos, but it is a way to motivate your lymphatic system, which limits and eases the burden on the blood. And so there's a deep connection. Actually, it looks like this between the lymphatics and the circulation, the circulatory system, where lymphatics dumps toxins into also the blood. And there's this kind of uptake of toxins we eliminate through bowel and kidney bladder movement. But that is something that is important to motivate your lymphatic system. Also, compression therapy. I saw we had some questions here specifically about compression therapy. So I want to pull this up because this is really important. One of the things, if you deal with it, I'll bring this up. Diamond Carter says, I have vascular insufficiency reflux and lymphedema in my legs. What approach should I take? So this is it. I would do all of these things collectively: the cold, the hot cold contrast therapy. I do the dry skin body brushing, deploy these supplements, and even more in this program. So that's one of the things that I really want to highlight, is that this specific protocol and this kind of discussion that we're having today is really going to be impactful for addressing a lot of the suggestions you guys are looking for. So Shalise, I think Chelsea, I need my reading glasses. She says, good evening, Dr. Gallagher. I'm experiencing delayed wound healing because I have venous insufficiency in the same leg as the wound. Any suggestions as to how I can help my vascular health? So absolutely, I would definitely, let me go back to this. Contrast therapy, move your body, do dry skin brushing on those areas that are not impacted or open wounds. Compression therapy is huge. And for folks that are dealing with any type of open wounds, there's actually a whole assortment of wound therapy focused compression therapy. We call it silver. There will be silver threading, and even copper threading, but mostly we're going to find silver threading woven into the compression garments that actually help minimize any type of disease progression, meaning wound progression, or any type of issue where you got weeping. And silver is part of the whole wound care management, especially when they're open. And because of the venous insufficiency, one of the challenges, because the blood flow is not functioning properly, you're not getting the core nutrients delivered, and you're also not getting that detox component. And so there's that lymphatic issue as well. So they go hand in hand. You have to support your lymphatics, doing the dry skin body brushing, and honestly, pneumatic pumps. If you already have a diagnosis of CVI, so chronic vascular insufficiency, or you have an actual diagnosis of lymphedema, you can qualify for something called leg pumps or compression pumps. And they're basically sleeves or cuffs, and there's all different assortment of them. I've posted, actually, I think it might be on sale as well. But over the counter, we call it over the counter, right off of, the manufacturing line. You can use these compression pumps that, have a handheld kind of setting, and they're great to do every day. And I'm sorry, I am seeing some glitching here, and I think it might be possibly my internet connection. I'm not sure. So I'm hoping you guys can still hear me. It seems to do a little like glitchy. But compression therapy is great. So wearing compression stockings, and that is like you're wearing them for 18, 20 hours. Then you move to like a night garment. And then you also spend about an hour doing compression pumps. So it's simply you get into a pump. Usually they'll have one leg and another leg and kind of zip it up, or kind of, there's all different kinds. On the higher end, like medical device level, where you get a written prescription because you have CVI or vascular insufficiency or lymphedema, these are going to be price range, the insurance to your provider, that type of price range. It could be $15,000 to $22,000, $24,000. Most of my patients don't have problems getting that prescription and getting the pump ordered, and they actually are often delivered by the device company. There's a rep that calibrates it, but you don't have to go that route. If you're like, I need something right now, you want something kind of just to introduce your body to it and see what it's all about, you can spend less than $200 and get a really high quality pump that will support that blood flow. Because that is absolutely really critical, especially when we've got delayed wound healing, as described. And in fact, a lot of folks can benefit from that. And we see that with athletes all the time. It's part of the recovery. If you support your lymphatic system and move your blood, you're going to recover faster. And even, I didn't list it on here, but another option for wound care, barometric, going into like a barometric chamber. So you kind of go into a pressurized state, and there are these like cute little like chambers. You can watch TV, you can watch my videos, do exercises of people working them. And it's a therapy. It's not something that's inexpensive, like you wouldn't buy them yourselves, but you could go to a center that has that. So let's talk about some supplements, and I'll make sure I keep answering your questions, so keep throwing them my way. Some of the 3 top best supplements, and I've posted these, 4 specifically: enhancing the leg circulation, reducing the inflammation in the vascular channel, and just overall giving your body the key nutrients for improving any wounds, keeping the body healthy, keeping your skin healthy, because we do see a skin breakdown, which is where we can see some of those wounds that creep up. Diosmin, hesperidin, and vitamin C. These have massive quantities of research, extremely well-founded. And this protocol, you would take these every day. And they're very powerful. And in fact, I have one that has everything you need in it, and it's what I recommend. You're going to get the horse chestnut in it. You get your vitamin C dose, or you can take them individually. It's kind of up to you, but honestly, the venous support is what I take. It has the butcher's broom, and it has this hesperidin at all the right quantities that we want to see. And if you're really, really having troubles with it, you could take a morning dose and an evening dose. I kind of see, I call it my sandwich method, a morning and evening, kind of bookmark the day. And that way you get good coverage through the day, and you get good coverage while you're sleeping. But that is something that can be really helpful. And wounds can heal, but you have to be really diligent, and you have to be active. And when I say active, you have to be your best advocate. You've got to be on top of it, because it's not an easy resolution when you have vascular breakdown and you have then the breakdown of the skin. So there's several layers that tend to be problematic, but I promise you, once you get over the healing and use some colloidal like silver soap, and there's colloidal silver salve. I love the colloidal silver line for like wound care. That can be really helpful. I often get brought in, especially when I was in Florida, brought into really severe cases, and I could get wounds healing really quickly that were just problematic. And so you can activate that healing process. But this vein supplement, this is my favorite. It is linked down below, but it is something that, if you are having problems or you have a history, the diosmin, the hesperidin, the vitamin C, you're going to find all of those here in this one mix. And for like Cheryl's question, let me go to this one screen. Okay. Let me go put you back on here. Hey, Cheryl. She says, what are the best herbs and foods you can eat to get better blood flow, to promote better blood flow through your veins? And what is the best thing that you can do for busted veins or varicose veins? So just know you want to really kind of support them as they are right now. Sometimes this scenario is not necessarily a reversible scenario, but you can stop the progression at all stages. So I always like to say, be proactive, be your best advocate, and get on it. So don't delay. Now's the best time. Don't fret if you've let years go by. It's okay. Now's the best moment to engage in your healing. But with this type of thing, you want to do compression, you want to do pumping, you want to do dry skin body brushing, you want to move and support your blood flow. Then you want to eat the low anti-inflammatory diet and take the supplements that I've recommended here. And in that combination, Cheryl, and for all of you watching, this is very powerful. I have patients that will actively notice big changes, especially with compression. And I wear these, like I'm very serious. I have had vein problems. Let me remove that. Since I had Gabriel, I have one vein that's a little wonky, and it doesn't even show up on Doppler, but I know it's problematic for me. I'm highly tuned into my body, and I wear compression. There's certain seasons of the year, especially like allergy season, I think I'm a little bit more inflamed. It's more problematic. And this is the time where it feels a little bit more heavy. And so I just have to actively be on it and take my herbals and do what I can to move my body and support my body with as low of an anti-inflammatory diet with all of these other resources. Now, here's the other thing. I get asked all the time from folks who love oils, what oils can I put on my legs? What oils are supportive for the veins? And I'm going to tell you, I love oils. I am not against them. I love diffusing them, but you can also use them on your body. So these are 3 unique oils. Lavender obviously is going to be one you're familiar with, but cypress is one that's great for circulation, and it's great for reducing the swelling of the vein itself. And I will tell you a funny story. One of the things when I go to New York City, especially when I lived in Boston, I would go to the Turkish bathhouses, and there was an element. They do hot, cold contrast therapy. You go into this like hot unit. You're sweating like crazy, and then you go and take a dip in like a 38-degree pool. I mean, it's a shock. You just got to jump in. But then you can also set up where you get, I call it thrashed by a massage therapist, where she takes like citrus or cypress leaves and oak leaves, and they thrash your body. And so it's like dry skin body brushing. It's circulatory, and they're diffusing the oils on the body. I tell you what, I have never had the best sweats out of my whole entire life. So powerful. So you can use cypress oil to improve circulation. If you're dealing with a lot of swelling, it's great for that. The helichrysum, that's an oil that is lesser known, but so great for all types of healing. I love it for wound healing. I love it for reducing inflammation. I love it for folks that have gout. I love it for folks that have swelling of the legs. Just very, very soothing oil. It's not an inexpensive oil. I will tell you that. It's more unique. It's not the type of oil you're going to find like at the shelf at your, natural stores. It's very, very unique. I have a link for you. It's on Amazon, a really good high quality oil. And I'd go with the lowest, quantity, usually 1 ounces. And I used to go and get drams. So you can, some oils you can get smaller, larger depending on the cost, but some oils are really expensive, like good pure rose oil is crazy expensive. This is one in this category. But lavender oil is another one. It's soothing, and it's really good for the skin. So for a lot of skin problems, because when we have vein problems, we have also skin related problems. It's not uncommon. Men and women will experience hair loss in the legs or on the legs or in an area that's having vascular insufficiency. I see this also with some of the vascular impairment that happens in the brain. And even with some of my patients that might have vascular problems in their arms and their hands from surgical procedures, these oils are powerful. You can, do a combination in a carrier oil and use that as, an oil after you get out of your shower. Highly effective. And then I also do want to talk about the emotional body. So, there's that whole mind-body connection. And I always want to address this because we can eat well, we can do our exercises, you can take your supplements, but we also have to deal with the emotional side. And just, some of the emotions behind veins is more focused on difficulty receiving and accepting love, receiving and accepting joy, and receiving and accepting life, like life as it is, accepting the current state that you're in, and just being in the now and present. Part of the connection of the lymphatics and the vascular blood flow is just letting life flow and not being kind of preventative of it, just releasing, any of the negativity and letting things come. So it's the ebb and flow, the coming and going, and just, journaling and gratitude journaling and things like that. I recommend to patients because that can really help release some of those emotions. And if you have stuff pent up in your body, you want to get it out emotionally, seek therapy, write it out, do the creative outlets that you have that give you joy, find lots of joy. And laughter medicine is highly effective. But also I want to share with you this. So I will be answering all your questions, I promise. I'm seeing lots of really great questions here. But I also want to equip you with, and feel free to take a screenshot for all of you live and also on the replay. There are tests that are really critical. So don't guess. You want to test all things from, your hormones. You want to test those. You want to test your bone density, test your vascular channel as well. So these are tests that you can have run. You can go to a specific vein doctor. So we have vein doctors that will do these. Some GPs will do these. Some internists will do these. There are blood tests I'm going to share with you, but these are some basic level tests. The first one is what we call our venous duplex ultrasound. A lot of times you might hear it referred to, and I often refer to it as a Doppler. And it's a way of viewing the inside workings of your veins. And it tells us a lot about the flow of your veins. It also tells us if there are any blockages. So this is really good for ruling out deep vein thrombosis. So venous duplex ultrasound is one that you want to make sure has been tested and frequently tested. So if you do have a diagnosis of vascular insufficiency or any type of vein impairment, problem, swelling, lymphedema, you want to have these routinely assessed. So just because you get it once, you still want to repeat and you want to go through that type of testing. Now, this one tends to be less requested by patients, and it's an ABI, so ankle brachial index. This measures the actual blood pressure in and around the ankles and the feet. So if you experience cold feet or blue nails or, feet that feel like they're 20 degrees cooler than the other part of your body, and you have known vascular imbalances, we want to see what is the flow like to the end of the body. So this kind of is that whole gravity, kind of defying element. How functional is the blood flow up? And so it can see that pumping mechanism that is at the deeper part in the ankle. So it's, the kind of part where it goes back up. We want to see what that is. If it's not pumping well, then we know there's some issues with those valves as well. So this is a great tool. Venography, this is more invasive, where they actually do a dye into the veins. And I have folks that do lymphography, where they put dye into the lymphatic system. So they tend to you're in an outpatient center for the most part. It's usually 30 to an hour and a half, depending on the time frame and prep and all of that. But they do a dye. They put dye into the veins, and then it's assessed the blood flow and the time of circulation. And then we do this on all different things. We can do the kidneys. We can do this in other parts of the body. But for the veins, that is the test. Now, there are three kind of core blood tests that is critical. And I really, really want folks to also analyze this middle one. So D-dimer is a core blood test that evaluates some blood flow and evaluates the state of your vascular health and inflammatory markers. It tends to honestly be an inflammatory marker test. And then also something called your blood clot factor. Sorry, I was taking a drink of water. Blood clot factor is actually genetic for a lot of folks. And there are folks that have no idea that they have this, walking around completely clueless that this is a genetic condition that could prove fatal like that. And you know who is my biggest example of this type of scenario? She's had it happen to her twice. Serena Williams has the blood clot factor. And this is something that tends to be genetic. We can also pass it on to our kids and puts us at risk And it's something that we need to zero in on and we need to have tested. So if you have any type of venous insufficiency and you haven't had D-dimers tested, the blood clot factor, lipids tends to be, very generic, right? Like your CBC panel is going to have your lipid test, but we can go deeper. You want to get the protein particle size of your lipids, your LDL. We want to know, what size are the fat particles and how much possible blockage are we dealing with? So these are really, really important tests. But the blood clot factor is honestly, friends, there's one takeaway today. I hope you will get this tested. It is an absolute critical marker because you can eat certain things that'll help thin your blood. You might even require some medication. It prevents stroke. It prevents DVT from developing. Oh, knowledge is power. And in this category, this is a really, really important knowledge point. So I really, really want you to walk away at least with that one point of what type of test you want to have performed. So just know that these tests, do a screen grab right now. And also the last one is the capillary refill test. So this also is part of the function of your blood and blood flow, blood volume. It sounds exactly what it is. Capillaries refill. How well is the blood flow to the microscopic vascular channels? And that also is going to play into your healing, wound healing, and how well you're functioning. So these are really important. And I have a ton of resources. I'm linking them all down below, but I do want you to know, like, some additional resources. I have a whole protocol. I have a whole kind of, scenario. And honestly, the protocol I've listed in the description box, I'd go with that, start there. But if you do have lymphatic impairment, or if you are noticing swelling, my Let Your Lymph Flow, that's one of my core signature trademarked masterclasses. It's everything you need to know about your lymphatic health. And then also I have a whole heart disease, kind of whole vascular flow. I go into PAD. I also go into other, like, coronary artery disease, which tends to be the most common cause of heart disease and is why heart disease is the number one leading cause of death for men and women. But those are some resources that I think you'll find helpful. And then also something that we've just recently launched. I haven't really launched it here, so you guys are kind of first hearing it, but we've compiled all of my master classes, and when I add these, quarterly, sometimes I'll add one a month, but we now have it all together, and you can have an annual sign up where you get access to everything. So if you're like, well, I might want 3 or 4, just go for the full annual membership, and that gives you access to the ones that you want and a whole bunch of other ones you're like, that might be kind of interesting, and all the ones that we're going to add for that year of your membership. So I really hope that you'll check that out and invest in your overall wellness, because a lot of these, we are going to be doing more kind of vein supportive. Also included in that, we've got my stress masterclass and stuff like that. So all right, let's dig into your questions. Woohoo! I've got 15 minutes to dig into all your questions. I am so excited. I just want to thank all of you for joining. So Melissa Belk, thank you. Hopefully the audio is doing better. Okay, let's see. Linda R said, the audio keeps cutting out for me. Every time a new slide comes up, can't hear anything. I think we kind of worked out some of that. Okay, and hopefully we have. Let me just go through your questions. Okay, Patty Clark says, I read horse chestnut is a great supplement for veins. It is really great. And it's something that actually people used to consume more regularly in other, times. And so we've kind of gotten away, honestly, from some of these natural therapeutic herbals as food sources. So, kind of going back to that, I'm always in support of. Okay, so let me see. I know I have a lot of other questions. It keeps bouncing up to the top. Okay. So Paula, I'm going to say, hey, Paula, she joined us today. Shout out to you. Let's see. Let me just go to the bottom. Okay. So M Ball says homocysteine level test. Yes. I mean, your basic CBC is going to run that. What I wanted to do is give you more specific tests to at least have run and analyzed that will give you a better synopsis of potentially some deeper underlying problems to address. But yes, that's definitely iron levels, where your immune system is, any kind of biomarkers for, inflammatory are going to be important. And so Patty said somebody was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome. Sjogren's does affect our vascular system. It's this kind of mucous membrane autoimmunity where it becomes dry. So dry eyes, dry mucous membranes throughout the body and the digestive system as well. So those are all key. Imbalance to sickle cell anemia also with Black people. Absolutely. And I will say this is really exciting. I don't know if you have heard, but they're using the same mRNA kind of therapy and this was in research before the COVID vaccines came out, but they're reversing sickle cell through this amazing mRNA therapy, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's just a game changer in the world of sickle cell anemia. Okay. Okay. So Stacy said, what if your legs ache at night? So depends on kind of like what's aching. If you find you have Charlie horses and it's a muscle ache, there's a big difference, and you can feel it. Like right now, I've got the vein ache, and it's a very different ache than your muscle ache. So, if your legs ache, I want to isolate: is it a muscle, is it skin, or is it vein? And are you also noticing the accompaniment of swelling like throughout the day? So if you notice that, in the morning, you put your shoes on after you get ready, you go to work, shoes fit fine. But by the time you get home, your shoes are like, wow, you've got to take them off and there's marks on them. That could very well be some vein imbalance, because and this is where this matches up with a lot of lymphatic issues and where a lot of my lymphatic training comes into play. When the veins are not promoting and moving flow, the lymphatic system is the backup plan. And so it floods and overwhelms the lymphatic system because the lymphatic needs to dump through. There's this connection between the vascular channel and the lymphatic channel. And when there's the backup, then we're going to have lymphatic problems. So sometimes it could be an element where you are dealing with swelling, and that's the aching. Or if you're dealing with Charlie horses, it could be a magnesium deficiency. So it kind of depends on it. So Diamond Carter, what is the name of the night garments for legs? So the night garments are called, I love them. And I should have brought, I have like a whole arsenal of stuff over here to show you. The nighttime leg compression, it's called soft compress. That's the name of it. And we have a whole leg sleeve. So it literally like starts from mid-thigh, goes all the way down, and it's the soft material. Actually, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to grab it. Hold on one second. Hold on. I want to grab it. Okay. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, so this is the soft compressed material. I'm just going to put this right here. I think we're good on the audio. Okay, this is the soft compressed material. This is what it looks like. So it's this cotton material, and it has this weaving here, and it's in the direction for blood flow. So this is the actual leg. This is what it looks like. And it's awesome because there's all different sizes that it can fit. And it has this, it's like a, ace bandage, stretchy material. And all it has is this material. I have patients who wear this at night. And so I didn't post a link. I will post a link, I promise, when I'm done with this. And it's Velcro, so super easy to get in. And it just, so your foot goes in. And so you get some compression on the top of your foot. You get compression in and around the ankle and the back of the leg. And this is great. And one of the things that's challenging is the nighttime wear. So Juzo is one of the brands that I work closely with. I teach in their Juzo Academy, and they rolled out the soft compressed line about, I want to say maybe 5 years ago. And it's been a game changer for my patients because it allows you to wear your compression stockings during the day. You can do your compression pumps. And then when you go to bed, you just put this on. And the weight also, this is the other thing what I love about it. Because of this, it's soft. You can wash it. It's very clean. one of the things with these lines, they move the flow. So when if you're laying, it doesn't matter if you're laying on your side or, depending on wherever your leg is, any part that's pressing down on it is a natural compression. So they have pads, big pads. I have patients put those on their beds. They've got these rolls. People wrap. They'll actually do compression wrapping with, it's a long roll that just fell off my desk. But soft compress is the name of it. And it's a company that Juzo, it's created by Juzo, this one brand that I love. Okay, Dee Burrows. Hey, Dee. She says, I pay for do-it-yourself lymphatic care, but I haven't been able to access it. Your support. People just sent me a site to open it. Do-it-yourself lymphatic care. I was able to download the Biohack Your Brain. I'm wondering if it's, if you're talking about my masterclass, but if you can access one, you should be able to access the other. So we'll figure it out, Dee. All right, smoking and caffeine are problems, absolutely. So smoking, caffeine, alcohol, sugar, and that's where a lot of diabetic problems are at play. If we have problems with our insulin resistant, that can be problematic. But yes, a lot of people will notice because caffeine invigorates the vascular system. And so some of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to get too much invigoration. Okay, so let's see. What else? Factor 5, leading, blood clotting. Yes. So all of the blood, ruling out blood clots is going to be absolutely critical. And also, so Tiffany B says, are my veins affected by my osteoporosis? I have severe osteoporosis in my hip. So this is what's kind of interesting. And Tiffany, it'd definitely be worthwhile for you to run some of these tests. And then I would also recommend, there's a whole litany of tests, and I have a checklist in the masterclass, the Heart Health Masterclass. But one of the things, when women are dealing with osteoporosis or osteopenia, several things are at play. One, hormones, hormonal imbalance, and menopause, dips in estrogen are going to greatly influence your bone density. So unfortunately, that's something we're always fighting. You can supplement with estrogen, just kind of boost up that synthesis. The other thing is assessing your calcium transportation and how your body is assimilating calcium. So often what happens is if we are deficient in the mineral magnesium, magnesium functions as a calcium bouncer or blocker for calcium getting into the vascular channel. And so if we are not articulating calcium to the bones, the question is, are you mineralizing? And it's crazy, but you can mineralize your veins. So, rule out atherosclerosis and let's figure out, okay, is it magnesium deficiency? You can test for your magnesium levels. I can pull people out of degrees of osteoporosis and osteopenia with certain supplementation. One of them is magnesium. And so it's not always about eating more calcium, it's about how well is your body articulating the calcium that you need. Okay, so in ball, I posted all the tests that I really think are really important for zeroing in on vascular health. And I hope you guys did a screenshot of that because it's super, super helpful. Let's see if I have any other questions here. I appreciate you guys dealing with our audio before. Okay, so let's see what other questions we've got. Nice guy. Hey, nice guy. All right, so nice guy says, I have edema in my ankles, but cardio says doesn't think it's heart related or ankles ankles discolored. On ACE, antiplatelet, and diuretic, anything recommended that helps blood flow but not conflict with meds? Okay. That's way more complex. Anytime we're dealing with medication, especially antiplatelet, diuretics and stuff, I always recommend an individualized appointment because it's hard for me to get. I'd have to get your whole health history. But let me just say this. If you have edema in your ankles, that's definitely a lymphatic element. So we've got some lymphatic, not impairment, but just poor lymphatic flow. Now, if the ankles are discolored, what we're dealing with is definitely vascular insufficiency. This is what I'll tell you, nice guy. I'll tell all of you guys. Cardiovascular docs, your cardiologist, does up here. They'll do the aorta, and they'll do here, and they'll do the carotid. That's it. Generally, they don't touch the legs. So a vein doctor is who you'd want to go see. Have them run more comprehensive tests. I know that sounds insane because they're cardiologists, like that's your whole cardiovascular system, but they don't. So just know that is not necessarily his wheelhouse of expertise, and I would go to a true expert. But I would definitely look at compression and look at the supplementation, as well as I'd get you in the pool and, the vein. Oh, and I should tell you this, the horse chestnut, there's a really good cream that you can put on. So I will recommend a topical cream of horse chestnut for a lot of that discoloration. So there is a link. I've got everything I've recommended linked in the description box below, from the dry skin body brushing to the pneumatic pump. There's a really good one that I believe it was on sale. I thought I wrote it down what percentage it was, but there are a few Amazon links where you can get some good deals out there. Okay, so let me just go through the rest of our questions here. And then I have to go because Brian's made a really nice dinner. I'm so excited. He did a salmon rub today. We're starting to grill out now that it's nicer out today. Okay, so here we go. Norma. Hey, Norma. She says, I want to ask you, I have the hormonal IUD. And I definitely feel like I need readers. My little screen's so small. I have the hormonal IUD. As I read, we can't use the Innovo. I wonder if my IUD could stop me for use it. Body blue, raised arms. Okay, that's not totally making sense. It seems not having any metal. The manufacturer's buyer, thanks. Okay, so some of the medical devices definitely do warn against IUDs. I'm honestly not a huge fan of an IUD, especially copper IUDs. You got to stay away from those. And if you need it for fibroids and things like that, there are way better alternatives to getting it. So just know I'm not a big fan. But I'm not a big fan because they can overload your body with copper. I've had folks that have anemia, subclinical anemia. But as far as the blue raised arm, I'd be curious to know more about that. Hey, Emily, it's good to see you. I see a lot of familiar faces. I used to do lives, all during COVID. I did live shows. Literally, it was like every day for like a year and a half. Okay, let me see if I have any other questions. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay. Susan H. said, good afternoon. I'm plant-based. Is that okay? Yes. Just go anti-inflammatory plant-based. Just because it's plant-based does not always mean that it's anti-inflammatory. And same with oils. You want to go all anti-inflammatory. So plant-based I'm not against plant-based. I eat mostly plants. But you want to make sure you're getting a balance. You also want to make sure you're eating a rainbow. So that's my tip here. Okay, I think I answered this Diamond Carter before. How do I treat venous insufficiency / reflux at the same time with lymphedema? A lot of the care for venous issues and lymphedema, it's the same. Compression is absolutely critical. Pumping, lymphatic flow. Even some of the herbals like horse chestnut may be in some of my kind of anti-swelling supplements that get recommended. So there are a lot of different kind of overlapping because it's just such an intricate, complex system, and the two work very closely together. Okay, let me answer the last bit of questions here, and then I've got to run. Gracie said, let me just put that. I really like your channel I have learned a lot from your channel. I just wanted to thank you for all that you're doing on your channel. That is awesomeness. Yay, you're so sweet. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm going to need to get my readers or make my little screen here much bigger. Okay, so thanks, Gracie. You're so sweet. It's my honor and privilege. I called to this mission to support people. And my one of the things I've noticed, I just want to tell you guys this. YouTube is male dominated, and I am really focusing on breaking the YouTube glass ceiling. And so I want to be a female doctor with over 1 million subscribers, because we have female voices that need to be heard. And so I really appreciate your appreciation of my work. It's super helpful. So you guys help me get the word out, because it's sometimes frustrating that there are certain doctors that don't have extensive knowledge in either hormones or gut health, that are men talking about women's health, and they're sometimes not communicating the right thing. So, okay, let me see if I've got any other questions. Let's see. Linda R. She says, thank you for your time. I appreciate the information. It was a great presentation. I'm going to do a quick screen grab of that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. What else? Any other questions? Let me know. Okay, I see somebody here. Alan, hey Alan, will that help for my large heart, because I think I'm in love? Very sweet. Okay, let's see here. Anita, hi, do you know about venous stenosis and pleural tinnitus if the cause? Okay, any holistic way to treat this? So this is really interesting. We can have stenosis, tightening, or kind of a lack of mobility of our veins in any part of our body. And a big part of stenosis is plaque buildup and the calcification of our vascular wall. So number one, boost up your magnesium. Number two, get some testing to rule it out. There are Dopplers and things you can do, even in some of the intricate vessels of the head and neck. But that would be something I would recommend for sure. Okay, let me see if there's anybody else. Let's see. Oh, here we are. Good question. Miss Sophisticate. Hello. Is it okay to use the sauna with venous insufficiency? My issue is with my thighs. That's an excellent question. So what I would say is you want to have the contrast, the hot and the cold. Some folks will say don't do it, or don't take hot baths. It kind of depends on the heat. There are different saunas. There are the dry saunas, the steam saunas. I prefer the far infrared sauna, and let me make a note of that. I'll post a really easy one that it's so fantastic. We use it here, that you can lay on a pad, and it doesn't get you overheated, but it'll be anti-inflammatory. And when it affects the veins, I love this far infrared mat for that. So, but I would contrast. So if you get any type of sweating, get in cold, fill up your bathtub with water, dump some buckets of ice. And yeah, that sounds terrible, but it's very powerful, and that'll constrict. So we vasodilate with sauna, but you want the constriction part. You want that makes the veins, it's like the vein exercise. Okay, so Happy says, what's a remedy for red spots called stretched blood vessels or ankles that feel prickly? Cayenne, petechia. So that would be I would use a topical horse chestnut, magnesium, and then even Trameal. Sometimes with bruising or the redness, we need to use some homeopathy to get that moving. Okay, let me see if there's anybody else. Here we are. Kathy. Hey, Kathy. She says, I've been having great results with berberine. Berberine's great. Berberine's another one of those bioflavonoids, highly effective. I'm so glad you recommended that, and I've communicated that, because definitely people might find a benefit from that. Let's see. I think I've answered everybody's questions. Let's see if there's any other. Okay, I'm just going through my last bit of questions. I really appreciate you guys. We've had a lot of folks on here. And Diamond said, thank you for the info. No problem. Let's see. Oh, came in late. Okay. Hi, Irene. Hello. No worries on coming in late. You can actually replay this. So it takes probably about 40 minutes, maybe less, for YouTube to kind of get this. But what about pain from CVI and lymphedema? Some say yes, some say no. Pain is very common. You're going to have the vein pain, and you're going to have the lymphedema pain. Compress, get the pumps going. I love CBD. I actually probably shouldn't have said that, but I love using that as a pain therapy, and then supporting the lymphatics. A lot of times that swelling is going to press on certain nerves, so that can be problematic. And yes, boost magnesium. Love magnesium. Magnesium is great for your vascular system. We need more magnesium than people are getting, it just overall. Okay, so let's see here. I think, is vitamin K2 safe for vein health? So I will say this with a caveat, depending on what medication you're taking, you might want to be careful, but yes, K2 will help reduce blood clotting risk. So K2, for some people, like if you bruise easily, is a sign of a K2 deficiency. But when in doubt, test. You can actually test your K2 levels. So test, don't guess, and then, use the resources. Okay, Anitha, I'm going to take one more question after Anitha. How about if the doctor found venous stenosis in the brain, what type of magnesium will help? Can ginger water help? Ginger is great, but it won't necessarily give you the effect. So I would go for omegas, dense omegas. My Biohack Your Brain masterclass digs into the lymphatics. There's this whole detox process, lymphatic process in the brain. It's really exciting. We knew about this, but it was finally observed in clinical details in 2015. Which is exciting, but the same effect, and my heart disease masterclass would be effective. Just know that you really want to target the lipids. You want to test your lipid particle size. Ginger will help, but there are other better things that can support the brain lymphatics. And you're welcome, Chelsea. Yay. Inbal says, Chelsea, also as much exercise as you can do to keep the blood flowing. I actually posted a really great video. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but I call them my desk exercises. This is something you do on the hour. So definitely I'll post a link to that. It's in the playlist. I have a whole vein playlist. So if you guys want to peruse that, just, watch those, because there's more information. I get specific. There's some topical things. You can even do some castor oil packing. Think Out Loud says, thank you. Appreciate all the wonderful info. Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. And I will say this. So, if you guys are hearing some information, like you want to do the Biohack Your Brain, or you want to take the lymphatic masterclass or any of these other masterclasses, they're all together in our annual masterclass library. So we've compiled all of them for folks. Some of them have downloadable guides that go with them, but that link's down below. So it's definitely something, if you're like, okay, I want more information, lots of great information on that. You get full annual membership. So I just want to thank each and every one of you. It's been so great to have you join me on our live, and for all of the folks on the replay, I'll be monitoring questions. And even for you all who join me, you're like, oh wait, I have another question. Myself and my team will be back at it tomorrow, and we'll be answering them. And I might even pull snippets out in shorts and stuff like that. So just stay tuned for that. And next month we will have another live. I'm going to take July off because we're going to Europe. Finally, 4 years. This has been in the works, and we're finally going. So I'll be taking a little break, but we'll be still releasing videos, and my team's still going to be helping me manage this whole thing. So Tiffany, thank you for joining. For everybody, I am grateful. And definitely, if you haven't joined our community, please check out a lot of the resources we have, and my email and my masterclasses. They're all uncensored, so I love that aspect. So if you want more great information, definitely consider joining the masterclass library. And I will see you guys on future videos. Thank you so much. I hope you all have an awesome day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everybody.